The knock came at 9:47 p.m. 3 sharp raps that cut through the quiet of Simone Carter's studio apartment like a blade through silk. She didn't move from the couch, didn't pause the documentary playing on her laptop. Something about deep-sea creatures, their bioluminescence like stars in an inverted sky. Nobody knocked at 9:47 p.m. with good news. The knocking came again. Harder. Simone closed the laptop, stood, crossed the small space, kitchenette, folding table, second-hand couch that doubled as her bed, and checked the peephole. A man stood in the hallway. Older, maybe 60. Charcoal suit despite the hour. Silver hair combed back. Face carved from something expensive and unyielding. Behind him, 2 others. A woman with an iPad. A younger man in a dark jacket, hands clasped, scanning the corridor like Secret Service. Simone's stomach tightened. She opened the door 3 inches. Chain still latched. "Can I help you?" The older man's eyes found hers. "Help them? Simone Carter? Who's asking?" "My name is William Langford. I believe you helped my daughter today." The words landed soft. Heavy. Simone said nothing. "May I come in?" he asked. "Please. It won't take long." She studied him. The suit that cost more than 6 months of her rent. The watch-catching hallway light. The way he said please like someone unaccustomed to asking. "Your daughter," Simone said slowly. "She okay?" "Because of you." Something in his voice made her unlatch the chain. 14 hours earlier. The subway platform at 59th Street smelled like rain and rust and the particular exhaustion of New York at rush hour. Simone stood near the far end, away from the crowd pressing toward the yellow line. She had time. The museum didn't open until 10, and she'd learned years ago that arriving early to your museum security shift just meant standing around longer in uncomfortable shoes. That's when she saw her. The pregnant woman. Very pregnant. 8 months, maybe more. She leaned against a pillar, one hand braced on the tile, the other cradling her belly. Her face was the color of old paper. Simone watched as a businessman in AirPods stepped around her without looking. As a teenager with a skateboard nearly clipped her shoulder, oblivious. The woman's knees buckled. Simone moved. She caught the woman's elbow before she hit the ground, guided her down to sitting, back against the pillar. Hey, I've got you." The woman's breathing came fast and shallow. I can't. When's the baby due?" 3 weeks. I felt dizzy and, okay. You're okay." Simone crouched beside her, one hand steadying her shoulder. She glanced up at the crowd flowing past like water around a stone. "Does anyone have water?" No one stopped. "Excuse me." Louder now. "Does anyone have?" A woman in yoga pants finally paused, dug in her bag, handed over a plastic bottle without a word, and kept walking. Simone unscrewed the cap. Small sips. Slow. The pregnant woman drank. Her hands shook. "What's your name?" Simone asked. "Claire." "I'm Simone." "Claire, is there someone I can call?" "My phone. I dropped it somewhere." "I don't know." Simone scanned the platform. Found it 3 feet away, screen shattered but still glowing. She retrieved it, checked for a lock screen. Found none. Recent calls. Dad mobile. She hit dial. It rang 4 times before a man's voice answered, clipped and distracted. "Claire, I'm in a meeting." "This isn't Claire," Simone said. "My name is Simone Carter. I'm with your daughter on the subway platform at 59th. She almost fainted. She's pregnant and where?" The distraction vanished. "Which exit?" "South End. Near the don't move. I'm sending someone." The line went dead. Simone lowered the phone. Looked at Claire, whose color was coming back in slow degrees. "Help's coming," Simone said. "You didn't have to." "Yeah, I did." They sat in silence. Around them, the city moved. Indifferent. Endless. 10 minutes later, 2 paramedics arrived with a wheelchair. Behind them, a man in a suit, younger than the one who'd show up at Simone's door that night, but cut from the same cloth. "Ms. Langford." The lead paramedic crouched. "We're going to take you to Lenox Hill. Get you checked out." Claire nodded. Let them help her into the chair. She looked back at Simone. "Thank you. Really. Thank you." Simone stood, brushed off her jeans. "Take care of yourself." The suit stepped forward. "Miss, can I get your name?" "For our records." Something in his tone, the formality, the assessment, made Simone's guard rise. "I'm good," she said. "Mr. Langford will want to." "I'm good." She turned and walked toward the opposite stairwell, away from the crowd, away from the paramedics and the man in the suit and the woman whose father apparently sent people like he was moving chess pieces. Her train was coming. She had a shift to get to, and she'd learned a long time ago. Rich people's gratitude always came with strings. But William Langford stood in her apartment now. And strings or not, he found her anyway. "How did you get my address?" Simone asked. William gestured to the woman with the iPad. She tapped the screen, turned it toward Simone. "Security footage. The subway platform. Time-stamped." Simone's face clear as daylight as she caught Claire, made the call, waited. "The MTA was cooperative," William said. "Once I explained the situation." Simone's jaw tightened. "That's not public information." "No, it's not." The quiet stretched. "Why are you here?" Simone asked. William reached into his jacket. Simone tensed, but he withdrew only an envelope. Thick, cream-colored. He set it on her folding table. "Because no one else stopped," he said. "And you did." Simone didn't touch the envelope. She stood in the center of her apartment, all 400 square feet of it, and watched William Langford like he was a snake that might or might not strike. "I don't want money," she said. "It's not money." "Then what?" William nodded to the woman with the iPad. She stepped forward, opened the envelope, and slid out a single card. Embossed. Heavy stock. A name and title in serif font. William Langford / Chief Executive Officer / Langford Global Industries beneath it. Handwritten, in ink. "Dinner. Tomorrow. 7 p.m. Per se." Simone stared. "You're offering me dinner." "I'm offering you a conversation. At a restaurant where reservations cost what I make in a week." William's expression didn't shift. "Yes." "Why?" "Because I want to know who you are." The honesty was almost worse than a lie would have been. Simone crossed her arms. "You already know who I am. You found my address. I know your name. Your employer. The building you live in." He paused. "I don't know why you helped my daughter when 50 other people didn't. Common decency isn't that mysterious." "It is, actually." Simone laughed. Sharp, humorless. "So what? You're collecting Good Samaritans now. Putting us in a zoo. I'm trying to say thank you. You just did. Doors that way." William didn't move. The silence stretched until Simone felt it in her teeth. Finally, he spoke again. Quieter. "Claire is my only child. Her mother died when she was 9. I raised her alone, or tried to. Mostly I worked. Built a company. Told myself I was building her future." He looked at Simone, and for the first time she saw something other than composure in his face. "This morning, I was in a board meeting. She called. I sent her to voicemail." Simone said nothing. "If you hadn't been there." He stopped. Breathed. "Dinner. 1 hour. That's all I'm asking. I work tomorrow night. I'll make it worth the shift you miss. You don't know what I make. $18 an hour. Plus transit stipend." He met her eyes. "I know what museum security pays, Miss Carter. I know you've been there 11 months. I know you're 26. You have an associate degree in art history from Borough of Manhattan Community College, and you've applied to 14 curatorial training programs in the last 2 years." The air left the room. Simone's hands curled into fists. "You ran a background check on me." "I did. Because I helped your daughter. Because I wanted to understand who I was thanking." "That's," Simone's voice climbed. "That's invasive. That's, I apologize." The simplicity of it stopped her. William stepped back toward the door. His people followed. "The offer stands," he said. "Tomorrow, 7 p.m. A car will come at 6:30 if you accept. If not," he hesitated. "Then I hope your life is everything you've worked for, Miss Carter. You deserve that." He left. The door closed. Simone stood alone, staring at the envelope on her table. She didn't sleep. Spent the night on her laptop, researching. Langford Global Industries. Fortune 500. Infrastructure development, global logistics, renewable energy. Revenue last year, $8.4 billion. William Langford himself. Widower, philanthropist, donor to a dozen museums including the one where Simone worked. Known for being ruthless in business, invisible in public. And Claire Langford, 29, Harvard Law, worked in her father's legal department until her pregnancy leave. No mention of a husband. No social media presence beyond a locked Instagram. Simone read until her eyes burned. Then she read reviews of per se. $385 per person, before wine. She looked around her apartment. At the couch she'd bought for $70 off Craigslist. At the print of Vermeer's girl with a pearl earring taped to the wall because she couldn't afford a frame. At the rejection letters from curatorial programs, folded in a drawer she pretended not to open. I know you've applied to 14 programs. How much could you know about a person from a background check? Enough to pity them? Simone closed the laptop. The next evening, at 6:28 p.m., she sat on her couch in jeans and a sweater, staring at the door. The car would come, or it wouldn't. She hadn't decided. At 6:31, her phone buzzed. Unknown number. A text. Miss Carter, your car is downstairs. No pressure. But we'd be honored if you joined us. Claire Simone's chest tightened. She looked at the message. At the carefully chosen words. We'd be honored. Not my father insists. Not please come. Honored. Simone stood. Changed into the one dress she owned that didn't scream thrift store clearance rack. Black, simple, hemmed by hand because alterations cost money. She braided her hair. Put on the earrings her grandmother had left her. And at 6:38, she walked downstairs. The car was a black sedan. The driver opened the door without speaking. Simone slid into the back seat. They drove through Manhattan as the city lit itself against the dusk. Past Columbus Circle, along Central Park South, the trees turning gold in the fading light. The restaurant was glass and elegance, and the kind of quiet that only extreme wealth could buy. A host in a suit led her through the dining room. Every table occupied by people who looked like they'd been born knowing which fork to use, and stopped at a private corner booth. William Langford stood. So did Claire. The younger woman smiled. She looked healthier, radiant, even. Simone, she said. Thank you for coming. Simone sat. The leather was soft as a whisper. William gestured to a waiter, who materialized instantly. Whatever you'd like, William said. Truly. Simone opened the menu. No prices listed. Of course not. She ordered something she'd only read about in food blogs. Let the waiter take the menu. Claire leaned forward. I wanted to see you again. To say thank you properly. Yesterday was... I don't remember half of it. But I remember you. You don't need to thank me. Everyone keeps saying that. Claire's smile was wry. But nobody else stopped Simone. You did. What? Simone hesitated. The truth felt too simple. Too obvious. Because you needed help, she said finally. William set down his water glass. And that was enough? Shouldn't it be? Something passed across his face. Not surprise. Recognition. Yes, he said quietly. It should. The first course arrived. Simone couldn't identify half the ingredients. She ate slowly. Listened as Claire talked about the baby, a girl, due in 2 weeks. As William asked careful, polite questions about Simone's work at the museum, her studies, her plans. She answered. Didn't volunteer. And then, over dessert neither of them had ordered but appeared anyway, William said. I have a proposition. Simone set down her fork. Here it comes. William didn't flinch at her tone. Langford Global is opening a private museum next spring, he said. Contemporary African art, historical pieces we've acquired over the past decade, rotating installations. We need a curator. Simone's breath caught. The position pays $90,000 annually to start. Full benefits. Budget for acquisitions and programming. Autonomy over exhibitions. He paused. It's yours if you want it. The restaurant blurred at the edges. Simone set her hands flat on the table. Felt the linen beneath her palms. Real. Solid. You're offering me a job. Yes. Because I helped your daughter. Because you're qualified and you deserve a chance someone should have given you 2 years ago. You don't know if I'm qualified. You've never seen my work. William slid a tablet across the table. Opened to a document. Her thesis from community college. The one she'd written about the intersection of Harlem Renaissance portraiture and contemporary black photography. I read it, William said. It's brilliant. Simone stared at the screen. At words she'd written at 3 a.m. in a library that closed too early, with sources she'd scraped together from interlibrary loans because the college collection didn't have what she needed. How did you? I made calls. To my school. To people who understand talent when they see it. Simone pushed the tablet back. This is pity. It's not. Then what do you call hiring someone because they did you a favor? Correction, William said. I'm hiring someone because every curatorial program in this city rejected an applicant who was better than half their current fellows. Someone whose thesis advisor told me, and I quote, she sees things no one else does. Someone who works museum security because the institutions she wants to serve won't let her through the front door. His voice was level, clinical. That's not pity, Miss Carter. That's pattern recognition. Simone's throat tightened. Claire spoke, softer. I know this feels like charity, but my father doesn't do charity. He does investments. And he wouldn't offer you this if he didn't believe you'd be extraordinary at it. You don't know me. No. But yesterday, when I thought I was going to pass out on a subway platform and lose my baby, you didn't know me either. You helped anyway. Claire's hand rested on her belly. That tells me enough. Simone closed her eyes. Felt the weight of 14 rejection letters. The condescension of interviews where she'd been asked if she was sure she understood the rigor required. The years of night shifts and rescheduled classes and applications that went nowhere. And this man, this stranger, was offering her everything she'd fought for. Because she'd made a phone call. I need time, Simone said. Take it, William replied. But not too long. The position starts in 3 months. I'd like you there from the beginning. Simone left the restaurant at 10 p.m. The car waited, but she waved it off. Walked instead. Through Central Park, past the reservoir glinting under city light. Down into the streets she knew, bodegas and laundromats, and the subway entrance that had started all of this. She sat on a bench near the platform. Watched people flow past. Strangers with lives she'd never know, problems she'd never solve. Her phone buzzed. A text from Claire. Whatever you decide, thank you again. You gave me my daughter's first chance at life. I won't forget that. Simone stared at the message. Then she opened her email. Found the last rejection letter she'd received. From the program she'd wanted most. The one that had sent a form response after she'd spent 6 weeks on her application. She read it again. Then she deleted it. Opened a new message. Addressed to the email William had included in the offer letter. Mr. Langford, I accept. When do I start? Simone Carter. She hit send before she could change her mind. 3 months later, Simone stood in the center of the Langford Museum of Contemporary African Art. The space was light and air and possibility. Walls painted gallery. White, floors polished to mirrors, windows overlooking the East River. Her office was on the 3rd floor. Her name already on the door. She'd spent the past 12 weeks in controlled chaos, acquiring pieces, building relationships with artists, designing the inaugural exhibition, learning to navigate a budget that didn't require her to beg for every dollar, learning to believe she belonged. The opening was tomorrow. Press, donors, collectors. William had insisted on letting her take the lead. It's your vision, he'd said. I'm just the checkbook. Now, alone in the gallery, Simone walked through the installation one last time. Portraits of resilience. Landscapes of memory. Sculptures that challenged what bodies could mean, what histories could hold. She stopped in front of the centerpiece. A massive triptych by a Ghanaian artist exploring motherhood and legacy. Behind her, footsteps. She turned. Claire stood in the doorway, no longer pregnant. A baby carrier strapped to her chest, a tiny fist visible against the fabric. Thought you might want to meet her, Claire said. Before the madness tomorrow. Simone crossed the gallery. Looked down at the baby, small, perfect, sleeping. What's her name? Hope. Simone's eyes stung. It suits her. Claire smiled. My father wanted to name her after you. I told him that was too much pressure for an infant. Simone laughed. The sound echoed in the empty space. Thank you, Claire said quietly. For all of this. Stop. Simone shook her head. I'm the one who should be thanking you. This job, this museum, you earned it. Every piece here, every decision, that's you, Simone. Not charity, not favors. Claire adjusted the carrier. You gave my daughter a chance to exist. Let me give you a chance to build something lasting. We're even. They stood in the gallery, light pouring through the windows, the river moving beyond the glass. Even. Maybe. The opening was flawless. Press coverage ran in the Times, the Journal, Art News. Collectors wrote checks. Artists called, asking to be considered for future shows. And Simone, formerly invisible, formerly dismissed, stood in her gallery wearing a dress she'd bought, without checking the price tag, and accepted congratulations from people who'd rejected her applications 2 years ago. She was gracious. Professional. But she didn't forget. Wouldn't. 3 weeks after the opening, William stopped by her office. I have another proposition, he said. Simone looked up from her desk. Should I be worried? Hardly. I'm funding a fellowship. For emerging curators of color. Full funding, 2-year placement, mentorship from established professionals. He paused. I'd like you to run it. Simone sat back. Me? You know what these institutions look for. What they claim to value versus what they actually reward. You know how to spot talent they're designed to overlook. He smiled slightly. And you know what it costs to be invisible. Simone thought about the subway platform. The woman no one stopped for. The girl she'd been, writing applications no one read. I'll do it, she said. On one condition. Name it. No background checks on applicants. Just their work. Blind review. William's smile widened. Done. 5 years later, Simone sat in her expanded office. Now on the 4th floor, overlooking a sculpture garden she'd designed herself, and reviewed applications for the fellowship's 3rd cohort. 62 applicants. All anonymous. Just portfolios and statements, and the rawness of ambition laid bare. She read every one. Chose 5. Among them, a woman from Detroit who wrote about labor and memory. A man from Atlanta exploring Afrofuturism through textiles. A non-binary artist from Chicago whose thesis on Black surrealism made Simone's chest ache with recognition. People the system hadn't seen. People she'd, too. The city hummed beyond the glass. Endless. Indifferent. But here, in this space she'd carved from nothing, Simone Carter was exactly where she belonged. Unbothered. Unmoved by the voices that had once told her no. Building a world where the answer was always, finally, yes.